I don't think you should borrow money when you need money. It's only given to people who are the most financially disciplined.
Generation used to say that, do you really need a loan to buy a phone?
And I feel like BNPL tries to bridge that gap. That's when I got to know that something called BNPL exists. When you say 17,000 में BNPL पे मिल रहा है, that means you know कि हाँ इतना वो बंदा बेच सकता है मुझे.
Impulse purchase for girlfriend?
Don't you think it somewhat pushes us towards a more irresponsible spending kind of a behavior?
That's my next question.
Don't rely on loans and figure out how to make your income stable. क्या लोन वोन मत लो यार, पैसा कमाओ.
Hello everyone and welcome to Mind Your Karza with One Finance, a show where we help you understand and improve your relationship with loan products like credit cards, home loans and much more. On today's episode, we are talking BNPL. Our guest, Aaditya Iyengar, content creator, consultant and CFA charter holder. Aditya, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on your CFA charter. When it happened?
Just very recently, October 2023.
What was that experience like?
I mean, stressful. It was very time consuming, teaches you a lot about perseverance, but yeah, it was good.
Very interesting. So now you can
2 years.
You can add CFA after your name because you're a charter holder.
Yes.
Fantastic. So let's start. So I think you've actually taken a BNPL. What was that experience like?
So I hadn't taken it intentionally. Like it was kind of missold to me, in the sense it was basically an ride like cabs wala app. I don't think I'm allowed to take the name, but that app said that you know what, you don't have to pay for your rides now. We'll give you a set credit to ride with us, and itne dinon baad you can pay for it.
So
I
you
was like, fair.
So that means you downloaded a cab app.
Yes.
Okay, signed up for it.
And I was using it as a cab app normally for years. Then one day they just said that this is also possible.
Nice.
So you can just ride for the entire month. And I don't have a car. I use Uber, Ola everywhere. So I was like, good idea. Why not? And I did it. I signed up for it. And at this time I had no credit cards, nothing. And I used this for maybe 6 months or something. And then one day I saw, कि चलो मेरे को credit card चाहिए. I applied for a credit card. And I didn't get it because they said you don't have a credit score. So I said, fair. Now I made an FD and applied for a credit card with that FD. 2-3 months later, I had a credit score and I checked my credit report. So there it showed I had a credit card and I have a personal loan. So this is when I was like, यार ये तो मैंने नहीं लिया था, ये कब लिया मैंने? So when I dug deeper, I reached out to the credit bureau. They were like, your BNPL is this personal loan. That's when I got to know that something called BNPL exists. Like what I was sold wasn't exactly just a small kind of an arrangement with that cab wala app. It was a BNPL. So I had no idea it was a BNPL. This is, I think, 3.5-4 years back.
How did that experience work? I mean, you said that it came in the cab app.
Yes.
Okay. I'm assuming it must have been a wallet or something.
Yeah.
Did you then have to repay, replenish, refill?
Yes.
How did it work?
So when I was given that thing, I had a limit of 5,000 rupees. So let's say I ride today and my fare is 500. Now the limit is 4,500. There was a 30-day period. And before 30 days, I could either exhaust that entire limit of 5,000 and then repay. Or let's say at the end of 30 days, if I've used up rides worth 2,500 rupees, the balance 2,000 is still there in my wallet. So once that 30-day period ends, I get a due date and I repay the 2,500 and the limit comes back to 5,000, just like a credit card.
Yeah. So when did this realization of repay come to you? Because you would have opened the app and said, "Arey, ye kya? Mere paas suddenly 5,000 rupees hai?" Or did you know कि यार ये loan
No,
है?
they were very clear that you have to repay.
Right.
But they didn't sell it as a loan, na. They said कि it's just you ride with us and you pay आराम से. क्या problem है?
ठीक है. Let's move further. So I'm sure that you've done a lot of research on BNPL after that.
Yeah.
So now that it's happened. Right?
And this is again pre-content days. Okay, I was also not that well versed in finance. I was probably a third-year student at the time. Then eventually CFA happened. Then content happened. I was also a lot more well-read in the coming 3 or 4 years. So then I got to know what actually happened and how, opaque it was. It wasn't really a transparent sort of a transaction, right?
Let's go into detail for that.
Yeah.
Opaque. So what was the details?
Exactly.
Like what did you notice?
I feel like if let's say you are having an arrangement of this sort with me, right? Okay, you can, ride with us and then pay at the end of the month. So you have to explicitly tell me that, you're opening a credit account in my name. I shouldn't have to find out in my credit report that there's a personal loan with this particular NBFC worth so and so rupees. And also my credit limit there was 5,000 rupees, but the personal loan was for 30,000 rupees. So that was also a mismatch, right? Now, I don't know how it affects me, why it said 30 rupees, but if there is a 30,000 rupees loan on my profile without my knowledge, I don't think that's right. And when I say it's opaque, I wasn't disclosed in any capacity that it's a loan. They just said that, yeah, ride with us and then pay at the end of the month.
Pay at the end of the month. That much was clear.
Yeah.
And you never defaulted.
No, never. I've never defaulted yet in my life on anything.
How long did this last?
I think about 7-8 months, and then I shut it down.
So 7-8 months you actually used that
Yeah,
credit
I
line,
did. Yeah.
kept on paying over and over again.
Yes.
Cool. Let's move forward now that you have a credit card.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you differentiate between the two as options for you to purchase something?
So I don't look at a credit card in the sense that I have this kind of a limit so I can spend whatever I want. I look at my bank account as my credit limit. This is what I can spend. And again, I'm not someone who's extremely materialistic. I don't buy a lot of things. My primary spend is food and travel. And now there I just look at places where I can spend to get maximum rewards. I would only spend on things that I would spend anyway on. Like for example, if my mother wants to buy something, then I would say, you know what, let's put it on my card. I'll get the rewards and you can pay me later on. So we do that. Like I just optimize my spends such that I get maximum rewards.
Yeah. Have you used BNPL after that?
No.
At all?
No, at all.
What's your view about BNPL?
I think it kind of introduces people to personal loans. It's an easier form of credit. I think BNPL is generally offered to people who don't meet the credit requirement for a credit card. So these are people who are maybe a little bit more irresponsible. They're maybe a little more likely to default. They're maybe a little more towards that student demographic. So that's why I have always advised people against it. Like when BNPL had just come out, when it was all the rage, as a creator, I had even promoted it. But eventually I stopped because I realized that this is kind of pushing people towards personal loans. So now we don't promote personal loans, nor do we promote BNPL.
So then what is your approach towards loans? Like if there is a student who actually doesn't have a credit card, has no credit history.
Yeah.
He has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? And a BNPL is just so convenient.
It is.
Everybody has an online e-commerce account.
Correct.
At any of the bigger websites. You use a cap and that's how you
Correct.
stumbled upon a BNPL. So then what's your overall view on loans? Like for someone who needs to afford something, but let's say because of cash flow problems, okay? Today is the 1st of the month, my salary comes on 31st. What am I going to do for that entire month? What do you think?
So this is where your credit card comes in, right? Like that is how...
Someone who does not have a credit card. New to credit card, remember?
Yeah. So honestly, if you are in a place where you don't have stable income or if you don't have a credit card, then don't rely on loans and figure out how to make your income stable. This is where you focus on, increasing active income. This is where you focus on doing multiple things so that your cash flow problem can be fixed. But let's say you are having financial troubles. Getting a loan here is the worst decision. Like this is how I think.
Sure.
I don't think you should borrow money when you need money. Borrow money when you don't need money. So borrow money to make things better than they already are.
So if you're borrowing things when you don't need money,
Yeah.
how would you compare BNPL and credit cards?
So now let's say this is how I view BNPL. Like the only situation where I would recommend BNPL to anyone is to create your credit score. Let's say you have no credit history, get a BNPL, make your credit score, then get a credit card. Now shut that BNPL account down. But primarily don't use BNPL if you have cash flow problems.
Okay. Why is that?
If you have cash flow problems, now you have this line that is going to somewhat psychologically motivate you to spend more. Because see, this has happened with me in my initial days of using a credit card. Let's say you have 10,000 rupees in your bank account and you have a 10,000 rupee limit on your credit card. Now, let's say you spend 5,000 rupees on your credit card. Now, you owe this at the end of your month, right? Now, this might be a credit card, BNPL, anything. But let's say this is a loan account that you've used up half. You see your bank account कि वहाँ पे 10,000 रुपए अभी भी है. तो वो देख के ऐसा लगता है मेरे पास पैसे. तो मैं और खर्च कर सकता हूँ. क्या है ना मंथ एंड पे दे दूंगा. So that's how you overspend.
Okay.
That the existence of money in your bank account somewhat tells you that you have more money than what you actually do, and that makes you spend more.
Yeah.
So especially when you have no credit exposure, if you have cash flow problems, if you are young, if you're a student, stay away from credit.
So now I want to understand this. Let's take a situation where the online sales that happen with 15th August or whenever it does, and you've got a really good deal on a smartphone which you want to upgrade to actually, okay? And the BNPL has a much better offer than the credit card, which is very normal these days. Okay, for some reason, the way some gadgets and white goods are positioned,
Correct.
you actually get a better deal if you take a low cost, no cost EMI. Then if you take a credit card, if you buy the same thing at one swipe on a credit card, you get a discount here. It's just more attractive because someone somewhere in the system is throwing in that bit of discount for you. What's your view on that?
So if you want to buy that phone, specifically if you had intentions to buy that phone since the start, and if this is the only way to get it for the cheapest amount, then sure, go ahead.
Okay.
But then don't make the BNPL your habit. Once you're done with this, keep that account dormant. Okay, you might, let's say, keep it for future use in case something like this comes up again. But then don't make that a habit. This is one thing. Secondly, I don't think it's ever possible to have the lowest price on something at only one place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
right.
Like let's say
good
BNPL,
point.
example, 20,000 का फोन है, BNPL पे आपको मिल रहा है 17,000 में. अब 17,000 ये प्राइस ना कहीं और मैच हो जाएगी. You just have to do a little bit more research. So it's not the case that यहीं पर है, ये अगर नहीं करूंगा तो नहीं मिलेगा. That price is just, हाँ मतलब now when you say 17,000 में BNPL पे मिल रहा है, that means you know कि हाँ इतना वो बंदा बेच सकता है मुझे इस प्राइस पे, he can still make money and still sell me that product. So now you just want to find someone else who will sell it to you for 17,000, which is fairly easy in my opinion, because I'm a South Indian. I was born to a Marathi mother and a Tamil father, but I behave in very Gujarati and Marwadi ways. So every time that I want to buy something, let's say it's a high ticket purchase, it's an electronic. So I take at least a month or two figuring out where to buy it from. What's the best deal that I can get? Then I'll go to multiple places and actually negotiate. So that's just a myth कि इस पे ही best deal मिल रही है, ऐसा नहीं होता.
Impulse purchase for girlfriend?
नहीं, rarely.
Okay.
Like she's very low maintenance.
Okay, cool. See, that's what the thing about BNPL was always that it's so convenient.
Correct.
It's everywhere. Okay, it's on e-commerce websites. It's embedded out there. So when you're on your mobile phone, you're buying something. It just seems very attractive.
Correct.
And yet the entire thing for the same process for credit card is much longer. Don't you think that is an attractive thing that gets people drawn to BNPL? And not everybody wants to, research for a month, maybe go out and go to a store where these days if you show them a deal, they match you then and there.
Correct.
Okay, so any thoughts on that?
Don't you think it somewhat pushes us towards a more irresponsible spending kind of a behavior?
That's my next question.
Yeah.
But about this comparison, what do you think?
नहीं सही है what you have said. It does make things easier. But see, just because something is easy doesn't mean it's the most financially healthy thing, right? And there's a reason why getting a credit card in India is so difficult. When you want to apply for a credit card, they ask for your 3 months ka salary slip. If you are self-employed, if you have a business, they ask for 2 years worth of IT returns. So there's a reason it's so difficult. Because it's only given to people who are the most financially disciplined. And I feel like BNPL tries to bridge that gap. Okay, if you are a little less financially disciplined than people who are eligible for credit cards, here's a product for you. This is the fundamental idea that I disagree with.
Understood. Please continue. When you were talking about the point about being irresponsible with credit, because this is something that our parents, my parents at least, generation used to say that, do you really need a loan to buy a phone? Do you really need a loan to go on a vacation? Ek zamane mein to we used to finance this outside from our savings.
Correct.
There was no loan for that.
Correct.
You're making a very important point about being excessively in debt. Please continue.
Yeah. So you remember that thing I just said, you should borrow money when you don't need it. Borrow money when there is a lot of it already. So now, for example, I use my credit card to pay my GST also. So what that does is that gives me 45 days more. Now, anyway, I have to pay GST on the 20th of the next month. Like for May, I'm paying on 20th of June. So, अब 20th June को मैं credit card से pay कर रहा हूँ. So now I have 45 days more. So there's that cash that still stays in my bank account. And now उस पे जो भी मुझे 3-4% का interest मिलेगा for the 45 to 50 days, it's not a huge amount. But why do you want to leave that money on the table, right? Just get it. है ना? Second thing, I have a business, so my cash flow is uncertain. Now, there's some months where I get paid on the 15th, I get paid on the 18th, sometimes I get paid on the 2nd, doesn't matter. Now, in this case, I still have to make the GST payments. I still have to pay my advance tax. I still have to pay rent. I still have to buy groceries. So this is where the credit card comes in handy. Like in this case, that credit card just optimizes the cash flow. It helps me to not, put big ticket purchases on my bank account instead. And the bank account can continue to earn interest. So this is how I use it. Now I can 100% survive without a credit card, no problem. Like today, if I cancel all my credit cards, I will still be able to function as I function.
Sure.
But the fact that they exist make things easier. Now recently, I booked a vacation for my parents where I got 1 night free on 2 nights. So I got that because of my credit card. So why, like यहाँ पे बस एक added convenience हो जा रहा है ना. मतलब I'm getting some benefit while maintaining my current lifestyle. It's not like the credit card existing is a make or break for me. So that is how I use it. Like I don't need it, but just the fact that it's there makes things easier.
Coming back to BNPLs,
Yeah.
do you have friends who use it?
No, not really. Like I've taught them everything. I've said don't use BNPL.
So either
They all
they're your
use-
friend
yeah.
or they use BNPL. You
Yeah,
can't be both,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Like they all use credit cards.
So then who do you think BNPL is ideal for?
I don't think it's ideal for someone, but I feel like it's being sold mainly to students. Like all the BNPL briefs that even we've received as I've received as a creator. So all the requests from brands that my manager keeps, defending. So like, no, we won't be promoting this. Is because they are like, you know what, we want to position this for students. We want to make students understand that there's a credit product for you. So this is what we are not okay with. Like we want to make people understand that BNPL is a personal loan. And when I wouldn't recommend a personal loan to my friends, why would I recommend a BNPL to students? Students that I don't even know. Like that's kind of on my conscience, right?
Yeah.
So when there is a product that makes you more irresponsible, that pushes you to spend more, and there is a future where if you pay late, you might even be charged interest and penalties. So I don't want that on my conscience.
But what if I use the BNPL as smartly as you use credit cards? I have enough money in the bank.
Yeah.
I can't
Fair,
get a credit
by all
card.
means. By all means.
So
Yeah.
the point is not so much on the product.
But sir, वही चीज है ना. The people that BNPL companies are trying to sell to won't think like you. These people are very young people. They're students. They're people who are maybe already in a little bit of debt. So BNPL kind of, they view BNPL as a breather. They view it as a kind of a wiggle room, right? They don't view BNPL the way maybe you do. कि यार ये खाली मेरा काम easy कर रहा है.
So then let's wrap up on your advice for students, let's say,
Okay.
who are being thrown this kind of loan. What's a checklist? What would you tell them to be careful of when they're doing this kind of a transaction?
क्या लोन वोन मत लो यार, पैसा कमाओ. Why do you want debt? Like especially when you're so young. Even when as in the rule that I personally have for buying a house, that's an altogether different debate. But this is how I view loans. I won't buy, like I'll buy a house when I can pay for it in cash, 100%, and then I'll buy it with 50% down payment. So I view a loan purely as something that makes things convenient for me. It is not something that saves me from financial trouble. It just helps me do things easier. Now, as I said, right, let's say there's a GST deadline coming in and a client hasn't paid me on time. Now, I have a couple of liquid funds that I can liquidate, but then there's an unrealized gain there. If I liquidate those funds, then that gain will be taxable. So then, in this case, I pay that GST with my credit card.
Sure.
So when that client pays me back, I just pay that credit card bill back and I'm done.
Yeah.
I also get some rewards for it, right? So it adds convenience. It saves me money in some places. That's why I do it.
Can you imagine a scenario where you actually use BNPL, maybe as a pathway to credit cards? What do you think about that?
100%.
Longer term.
100%. Like that is something that I fully support. You get a BNPL, you get a credit score, and you use it very responsibly, the way you would use a credit card. And then you use that BNPL as a pathway to credit card. So sort of like a, pathway to better credit products.
And that would help you improve your credit score also?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So what is the link between BNPL and credit score? In the sense that is the starting of your credit history, right?
Yeah. So what many people also don't know is that BNPL does affect your credit score. Many people think that यार ये credit card तो नहीं है, loan भी नहीं है. But BNPL on paper formally is a personal loan. So that personal loan will show up on your credit score, and if you don't pay your BNPL dues, your credit score will take a hit. Like that does count as a default.
How does one, you got your learning on a BNPL in the wrong way.
Correct.
You didn't even know you were being pushed one.
Yeah.
Okay, so any warning signs or something for our audience to not make the same mistake as you? What should I look out for? Something that looks off and I should just say, okay, this could not be, this might be a problem.
I would say any service that allows you to pay later on is a loan. Any service. And if you sign up for it, you'll have to tick a box that says, I accept the terms and conditions. That means that you are signing a loan paper. So anything, any product in this world, if they're allowing you to pay at a future date, it's a loan. And if it's not being communicated to you in direct words that it's a loan, it will still appear on your credit report. So just that's the best checklist, I would say.
Yeah.
That if you have to pay at a future date, then that's a loan.
Let's say that you're part of the RBI now. You've taken a very strong stance on this, on customer education.
Correct.
To avoid things that happened to Aditya Iyengar with this mobile app. What are the few things that you would change?
Disclosure, 100%. because BNPL apps have to inform their customers that this is a loan. They have to tell customers that this is not as chill as you think it is. It's a personal loan. If you default, you will be in trouble. So disclosure has to be very clear. And I mean, for example, SEBI is so strict with respect to disclosure when it comes to, say, mutual funds or when it comes to stockbrokers. So now RBI is, I'm pretty sure they're just as strict. But I feel like BNPL is a place where they can, kind of tighten things up a little bit.
And on that note of caution, that is it. That is a wrap on today's episode of Mind Your Karza with One Finance. Our guest, Aditya Iyengar, content creator, consultant, CFA charter holder.
Thank you so much for having me, sir.
And all the best with your CFA.
I'm done. I'm going to be teaching it now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aditya.
Thank you.